With that, I would like to invite our first speaker to join us. And if I remember correctly, this is Anastasia. Here she is. Okay. Yeah. Good morning, Anastasia. Good morning. You can. I will sit here, and you can sit here. So before passing the floor to Anastasia here, I just wanted to mention that the first two showcases that we will share with you, one has been implemented in Thermaikos Gulf Protected Areas, and the other has been implemented in Landscape Park Strunjan and the Beli Rtič in Slovenia. And these were both demos that have been implemented in collaboration with MIO, basically. So, Anastasia, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like first to congratulate the whole Plastic Buster team for these amazing results and all the knowledge produced that is very important to the work of all of us. And I would like to especially thank you personally for all this collaboration and the guidance provided to us. So I'm Anastasia. I represent the Greek NGO iSEA. iSEA is based in Thessaloniki, which is the largest city center in the North Greece. Our activities are implemented in a national level, but today I will present you a pilot action that was implemented in the context of Plastic Buster in the Thermaikos Gulf for the prevention and mitigation of plastic waste, mainly coming from the aquaculture and mussel farming activities in the area. So from an ecological point of view, Thermaikos Gulf is recognized as a globally important wetland. Actually, it's a wetland complex including lagoons, estuaries, marshes, and salt marshes. It is one of the 10 Ramsar sites in Greece. It is part of the Natura 2000 network, and part of the area is designated as a national park during the last 15 years. And of course, its ecological value is also recognized through other directives. You can see in numbers how important the area is in terms of biodiversity. It hosts many rare and endangered species of flora and fauna, and it's also very important for the birds during their migration, their wintering, their nesting. And so it's on the migration routes of birds, and it is considered very important for birds. But apart from its ecological view, Thermaikos Gulf, since the ancient times, is connected to all the development of Thessaloniki, of the city of Thessaloniki, but also for North Greece in general. And all the human activities developed are connected to what is provided and by the ecosystem services provided by the Thermaikos Gulf. So part of the protected areas of the Thermaikos Gulf are part of the most productive plain in Greece, which account for the production of a huge amount of very important goods for the Greece, but also for other countries that they are exported. There is intensive stock breeding, there are intensive fishing activities, but there is also very intensive mussel farming. In particular, Thermaikos hosts 80% of the mussel farming in Greece, which accounts the second largest mussel farming activities in the Mediterranean. In numbers, it means that that more than 30,000 tons of mussels are produced in the area annually, before COVID at least. But of course, all these human activities pose threats and pressures to the ecosystem. So there are many illegal activities that are taking place, as you can see, like illegal fishing or hunting. And there is also the issue of water pollution and illegal dumping of solid waste. So you can see that according to iSEA's monitoring before, but also in the context of Plastic Busters, and always in accordance with the protocol provided by the MSFD and upgraded in the context of Act for Litter and Plastic Busters MPAs project. All the areas, the coasts around Thermaikos Gulf are considered as very dirty. And mussel nets are the most abundant litter items found in the coasts around Thermaikos Gulf, followed by plastic pieces, but also by plastic strings, which are in combination with the nets. There are the strings that the mussel farmers use in order to tie their nets. So more than 65% of the litter items found in the coasts are connecting to aquaculture and in particular mussel farming activities. And you can also see 3 points that we have collected with the bin, the blue sign on the map. There are the 3 areas that we chose to implement our pilot action, especially because they are very close to the mussel farming fields and the fishing ports that are used by the mussel farmers. I would like also to add that in every 100 meters of coast that we were monitoring, we used to find about 100 nets of mussel farming and 200 pieces of strings or strings themselves. So our pilot action was actually a priority measure within the action plan for marine litter in Thermaikos Gulf Protected Areas, which was developed by the management authority of the area under the guidance of the Mediterranean Information Office in the framework of Act for Litter project. And our aim was to set up a scheme for the treatment of derelict fishing gear and a measure that referred to the active involvement of the sectors in the area. So the mussel farmers and the fishers were actually actively involved in the collection and the proper management of the fishing gear. The project was implemented under the guidance and in collaboration with MIO, but also with Blue Cycle, which is the company that receives the plastic mussel nets and recycles them through 3D printing. And of course, with the management authority of the area. Now the management authorities in Greece have changed and are central, guided by the Ministry of the Environment. So our pilot action including monitoring of the coasts, but also assessing the presence of fishing gear through interviews and questionnaires to the fishers and the mussel farmers on what fishing gear they usually use and what fishing gear they dispose or where they dispose them, with the aim to promote best practices of collecting these materials and managing these materials. And of course, to promote, apart from this best practice on the collection and management of the fishing gear, but also in general to raise awareness among these sectors about the environmental issues of marine litter in the area. The groups we targeted were, first of all, the mussel farmers themselves and the fishers. Most people in the area are both fishers and mussel farmers, so it's something they have in common. All the port authorities, the local authorities, but also other competent authorities, because during the implementation of the project, also the regional authorities of Central Macedonia joined our effort. Other local NGOs and associations, of course, all the citizens of the area that are really aware of the issue, and the media in order to make our impact bigger in the local community and not only in the local community. Some of the results are that we managed to collect up until now, because today we are removing extra quantities of nets, more than 20 tons of abandoned mussel nets, with the participation of 2 municipalities, because each area belongs to different municipalities, 3 different associations of organized mussel farmers, and as I already told you, the regional authorities of Central Macedonia. All of the materials collected and transported were removed to Blue Cycle. And after the first testing on the exact material and the way they can treat them, they decided that they are more proper in order to be used for pellets and reused from the plastic industry. The procedure of the recycling was mechanical recycling, and most of the nets were used as pellets. Some others were used for other products made by the company, like furniture or other items for homes. And the management scheme we organized were based on the needs, but also the facilities that were in every different area. For example, in 2 areas, we established collection stations and we removed the nets as bulk items because there were no facilities from the municipalities in order to store or transfer them in a green point. There were not even trucks that could collect the nets from the areas. But in another municipality, in our 3rd place participating in the pilot action, since there were trucks and a green spot where the mussel nets could be transported, we provided them with bins and informed them and continue to inform them that they should dispose them separately, so they are separately transported in the green spot of the area and then transported to the company Blue Cycling. Not only this, but the most important lessons learned from this procedure and pilot action was that the collaboration is the most important issue, and as long as you manage to establish a good collaboration with all the sectors and the stakeholders involved, then things are getting easier and better and improved time after time, and that all these stakeholders had and still have to provide us with very useful information in order to improve the procedures and make them even to fit their needs even better. And some of the difficulties we faced, apart from COVID that cancelled and postponed some of our face-to-face meetings with all of them, so we were in discussions with them long before we actually meet them, is that there are some practical issues that we have to solve, and of course we cannot solve them by ourselves, but we need all the local authorities, the management authority, the port authorities, to have the same focus and the same goal. There are many bureaucracy issues that are still running and unsolved, but I think that we are in a very good point to solve them. And the main output for me was that even though there were serious conflicts of interest and all the authorities were not, let's say, in good terms with the stakeholders, we managed to bring them in the same table and set the same goal for them. So at least now they are in good terms on the particular issue. And 2 things that I would like to highlight, because yes, okay, I will first refer to the opportunities that came up, was that working on the issue gave us the opportunity to be part of other initiatives running in the area, aiming for the protection of the area and the sustainable development of the area. Also to create new collaborations, for example, with local research institutes, since the mussel farmers, especially based on the other issues they face due to other problems that they face and have bad results in their mussel farming production, they were looking for scientific advice. So now a new collaboration that came up was the collaboration with a local research institute that provides advices to the mussel farmers, and we are in communication with them and bring them in communication with the mussel farmers. And we started working on monitoring microplastic abundance in these coasts of the area. And we are trying to be part of other projects that share same goals and can also fit our needs, or our experience can fit their needs. So the 2 points I would like to highlight before thanking you. The first one is, for example, today we are going to remove extra amounts of plastic mussel nets. The way we organize this procedure is like a public consultation. During the removal of this net that takes some hours, we invite all the local authorities, all the association of the mussel farmers, the local associations, and individual mussel farmers and fishers, and we discuss with them on the procedure and all the scheme we have set. We ask for their suggestions for improvements or for extra needs they may have. For example, if they need some materials and products to be produced from their nets through 3D printing, like bins, this is what they usually ask for, or some improvements that can be made during the whole procedure. And the other point I would like to highlight is a good option of a very sad story. Due to COVID and to the rise of temperature in Thermaikos Gulf, the production of mussels has been, actually this year it was close to zero. So taking also into consideration the economic crisis that we experienced in Greece during the last years, now mussel farmers consider the money spent in nets or other materials they use, like barrels they use for, especially for floaters, they consider the amount spent in these items significant, which wasn't the case some years before. So we started recognizing that they are trying to reuse these materials. For example, it's the first time that we realize that they are keeping the nets and dry them and try to sustain them in order to reuse them. And this is now another conversation we're starting with them, what they need in terms of facilities or whatever they may need in order to reuse more these plastic nets. And for example, the plastic barrels, we used to organize volunteering cleanups, collect the barrels, and the regional authorities send them for recycling. But now it is the mussel farmers themselves that collect them and try to reuse the ones that are in a good condition. And so they reuse them. So this is very important, and this is a conversation we are now starting with them. And the last thing is that all the stakeholders involved by themselves, it is a proof that there is awareness actually raised among them, because they are starting organizing volunteering actions themselves, and they are starting getting involved in actions in their area. So this is very important to us in general. And thank you very much again, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Anastasia, for sharing this encouraging news. And I think that this is a good example of the fact that the Plastic Busters demonstration actions, okay, they started something, but this doesn't mean that with the end of the project, these actions will come to an end, but rather they have initiated a process which will trigger changes at local and regional levels, and hopefully lead to a cascading upscaling of the entire process. So thank you very much.